Hey guys, it's Chanel. So I wanted to talk today about love, romantic love, self-love, and kind of like my progression and my quest of really being the best version of myself in terms of self as well as in relationships. So this past weekend, I completely acted irrationally and I made a big mistake. I acted out of emotion and it's caused me some really hard consequences in terms of this relationship. And upon getting myself together, I really had to evaluate where I was at emotionally, mentally, and really address the inner work. And after praying and speaking in tongues for 20 minutes and getting some clarity from God, I was kind of directed to this book that I have called Love Symptoms, and it's by Dr. Van Brown, and it is an amazing book about love. Like, he studied so much about love. He has an amazing relationship, marriage with his wife. He's God-led, and it caused me to be able to really understand what love truly is and means. Like, we think love is a feeling. It's like the butterflies and the goosebumps, but it is really a decision. I choose to love you, whether you do right, whether you do wrong, whether you do what I want you to, whether you give me anything in return. I choose to actively love you, to show up for you, to be that person for you. And society teaches us it's something different. Society teaches us we're in love when we have all of these feelings and raging hormones and we're attracted to this person, and that's not the case. And there's different types of love. So actually, let me pull this out. So there is and I'm gonna butcher these names. There's the Philatia love, which is a self-caring love. And he says he believes it's the foundation from which healthy love for others springs forth, which means you have to love yourself. Even the Bible says, love your neighbors as you love yourself, which means that you must first love yourself before you can love anyone else. If you don't effectively love yourself, if you don't effectively understand what the self-love is, if you don't effectively understand, accept, forgive, and heal your own stuff, you can't expect that in return from others. So self-love is the master of everything. It is the base of what romantic love comes from. It is how God calls us to love others. It is one of the most important loves. One of the most common loves is like eros, which is sexual attraction. It's the most popular form of love that humanity knows. So you think this man is fine, all of a sudden you got all these feelings, he's saying the right words, you want to jump his bones. That's eros. What we often find that if the relationship only has that, it doesn't last long. Like, you can only have so much sex. So if there's no root of stability, if there's no foundation of genuine love, then it doesn't matter. The next one is going to be philia. Philia, also known as a love between friends, is another form of love. And then ludus is a playful love rooted in fun with no need for possession or security. No but. So ludus love is like a situationship. So eros is like sexual intimacy. Ludus is more so a situationship. Like, y'all get along, there's chemistry, there's attraction, but y'all don't have no titles. You decide that you don't want a title. He decides he doesn't want a title. Y'all go into it not thinking that, but then what ends up happening is one of you ends up catching feelings way more than expected, and now the other one's having to say, but I told you up front, I didn't want a relationship. And situationships can end up being just as damaging as a full-fledged relationship. Like, that hurt, because there are actual feelings within the ludus love version of love, but it's not rooted in longevity. It's not rooted in loyalty. It's not rooted in the authentic form of love that God wants us to have in intimate relationships. And then there's pragma love. Pragma is a pragmatic and long-standing love akin to an everlasting love between a married couple. It stands the test of time. So that is the love that most of us actually seek. that is the love that y'all have both made decisions to come together, live your lives together, build together, have kids together, if that's your choice. But y'all are partners. Y'all are a team. Y'all are on the same page. Y'all have a unified mission for your family. That is pragma love. Storage love is the love from parent to child, granted in forgiveness, acceptance, and sacrifice. And what I thought is interesting there, we think love of like a romantic partner and a child is vastly different. Like when Bud, he's a kid, he's a child. When he messes up, my love does not waver. Bud does nothing. He does not have to do anything at all to deserve my love. He's a kid. Like there's no expectations of him. And I think if we felt the same way in terms of romantic love, when it came to mistakes, when it came to forgiveness, when it came to grace and acceptance, we would go a lot further in relationships. One of the things that this situation this weekend taught me was I want to show up in a very different way. I want to show up in relationships with my partner as a very different person than I have been in the past. So I was telling my homegirl, my mom is from Brooklyn, and so I grew up with her yelling, screaming, cursing my daddy out, always very loud, always very aggressive. And that's changed over time, but that's what I was accustomed to. So when I entered into relationships and something didn't go my way, I'm yelling, I'm aggressive, you're not gonna handle me no type of way type of thing. And I realized that that is not how I want to show up in relationships. Like the situation this weekend, I went off and I said some really hurtful things to this person. And looking back on it, I deeply regret it because I would never call Bud names to hurt him. I would never demean him. I would never say or put a name on him or call him a name that would lower his self-esteem. And words have power. Words are seeds. Like they can plant and grow into something that we didn't even think. Because it's just a word, but that's not the case. I would never call my child anything that would hurt him. I would never put him in a position to where he questions his worth because of what I've said to him. So I had to reflect on, well, why do I do that with men? When we're arguing, when things don't go my way, my words can cut deep. And I said some things to this man that I deeply regret because I care for this man. He's someone's son. He is another human being. And I never want my words to affect him in a way that is not fruitful, that is not loving, that doesn't speak joy, that doesn't speak life. And that is a me thing, right? Yeah, he did something I didn't like. He did something that hurt my feelings. But I can't control that. I can control my reaction. I can control how I allow my emotions and feelings to dictate things. And I've had to switch that in terms of my feelings don't dictate jack dilly squat. Feelings are not facts. Feelings they alter every second of every day. They are not factual. So I cannot make my decisions off of feelings that are fleeting. They change. Because as soon as I acted out, I felt regret. I felt disappointed in myself. I felt ashamed. And it's because those feelings are not etched in stone. They're not permanent. But we act and make permanent decisions on, feelings that only last for a second. And so then that caused me to want to go deeper into, well, what is in me that is still there and lingering? What was that trigger? And I had to realize that things with my past relationships, being lied to, being cheated on, being deceived, and not given the opportunity to make decisions for myself. Because when you are dishonest, you don't allow that person to decide what they want or what they want to do, because you're not giving them all of the facts. And I just feel like those are triggers for me that I'm learning that I have to address myself, because every situation is different, every relationship is different. But to not grant somebody grace, or to not just simply articulate, hey, you did this and it made me feel this type of way. It like turned up these feelings and emotions, and I don't want to be treated that way, or I don't want to be put in a situation like that, or I don't want you to talk to me like that. That is easier for that person to receive and digest and then make changes accordingly than you rah nigga, I can't believe you da 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 da. Nobody's gonna receive that well. And so I'm just learning, and I've taken like these last couple of days to really do some inner work to be able to show up in the way that I want my mate to show up for me. And it starts with me. So learned that, and then I also had to address my self-love, and that's really why I grabbed this book, because I really wanted to get to a better place within myself, that I know when I'm vibrating low, or when I don't think highly of myself, when I haven't forgiven myself, I gravitate towards other broken men. And it's because, well, if you're broken or you make these mistakes, you can accept my mistakes. Not realizing this broken man can break you down way more than the healed, or than a man who, has just accepted you in another way. Broken people break people. Hurt people hurt people. And so I don't want to keep, like, my last relationships, those men were very similar. Very similar. Very similar. And this one, he has traits of that. He's not the same. He's very different. We're actually more alike. But there's traits that I'm seeing that I know I'm still attracting, because I haven't healed and I haven't done the work within me. And I just don't, I want to be the best version of myself. And like I said, my birthday's at the end of the week. And I want to go into this next year. Nobody's going to be perfect. Nobody's going to be completely healed, but actively working to be a better me. And what that looks like for me is that be honest with myself about childhood traumas, relationship traumas, trauma bonds, things that have occurred that I haven't let go, that I haven't forgiven myself of. And sorry, cut off. And then address what negative traits that these relationships have in common that are rooted in me, that I can fix, so I can stop attracting. Because all relationships are a reflection of yourself, whether it be negative or positive. You attract like-minded people. And so I want to be very deliberate with what I attract, and I want to be very deliberate with what I put out there. And I've had to change my mind and consciously make myself aware that some of the ways I act is out of pain and destruction and trauma. It's not out of facts of how I should act in love. Like, love is patient, love is kind, love is forgiving, love does not keep a record of wrongdoings. I keep records, I have receipts, and that's not what we're called to do. And so with me making the recent mistake, I've had to take ownership, and I've had to address, and it has made me, and then with my birthday coming up, it's just made me really look inward into what I actually desire. Like, I want a pragma love. I want marriage. I want stability. I want romance. I want friendship. I want a partnership. I want to support my man. I want to be able to uplift him. I desire a God-led marriage. I desire a good, healthy, romantic, beautiful marriage. And I can't get that if I'm not beautiful, healthy, romantic, loving, forgiving with myself. And so I'm excited for like this journey to really take the time for me and God, but take the time to learn me, to learn who I am even further, and to practice the woman that I wish to be in this world and in relationships. And that will get tested. So I say that I don't want to respond out of anger. I don't want to be yelling and screaming. I don't want to demean somebody. I don't want to belittle somebody. I don't want to call names. I don't want to show up in that way. And that's vastly different from how I grew up, where I'm used to all of this. That's not what I want to do. That's not who I want to be. And so I'm having to really do the work. And this book has helped me so much. Like, there's surveys in here, there's questions. He shares his relationship history and the lessons he learned and why he got the type of partners he got and what, inner struggles he had. And it's great to put things like, to recognize that you're not the only one going through things in relationships, and you're not the only one that's ever been hurt, and you're not the only one who has struggled with self-love. Because I don't know, it kind of seems that like everybody comes out the gate like just confident in themselves, and I'm the SIH I can't spell SHIT, and that's not me. Like, I've struggled with my weight, I've struggled with my identity, I've struggled with my confidence, and that's not something that I want to continue to struggle with as I enter into this new year. This new year of life, I'm, like I said, taking accountability, operating in obedience, I'm operating in faith, I'm operating in love, and I want those things back in return. So understanding what love is, understanding how I should love myself, understanding how I should show up and love others. Like with Dr. Van, I know him personally, that's my big brother. So with him, somebody can do him wrong and he's apologizing to them to cause them to want to do him wrong. And it's not a game. Like, he is the most genuine, loving man I've ever met. And like, not in some weird hitting on you thing. No, like genuine brother, father, uncle love. Like, and he embodies the way that God says for us to love. And like, I've read this book before, but going back over it, and I use my highlighter, and I've been, writing things that I've seen in it and that stood out, and really taking account into what it said. This book has been such a blessing to me. Like, it's almost the best birthday gift I could have given myself. And I've had this book for a while now, because it's just, we don't understand what love really is. We think it's all the feelings. And then when somebody hurts our feelings, we react in a way that you would have never known that we loved them. And I just want to show up differently. I want to be different. And so I'm going to see if he'll come on and I can interview him, because he's just so powerful and he's so amazing in terms of really explaining what love actually is and what it means. So I'm seeing about that. And then he's married to the most beautiful woman I've ever seen, my sis Lolita. And she is a prophetess and she's gifted, and they are a God-led marriage. So I want to interview the both of them too, because I want to start showing positive God-led marriages and what that looks like. Because I think back in the day, I used to think like, oh, if you're like a Christian couple, y'all ain't cute. And y'all, it's a real boring type of marriage. And that's not the case. At my church, there are a lot of beautiful married couples, young couples, been together for years, and honest about their relationships, honest about what it is. And their love story is very interesting, and it took patience. And I know it took patience for them to get together and for God to do his work, because of what they do. They counsel married couples. They really share what God-led love is. And because of that, that takes a little bit more time. You can heat up a Hot Pocket in a minute, but to make a loaded baked potato, macaroni and cheese from scratch, a steak, that takes time. You got to marinate it. That takes work. So their relationship took a bit longer to cultivate, but the evidence in God bringing them together is there, like, thoroughly. and they've just always been a positive, both of them, very positive beings in my life. Like, I'm indebted to them for all that they've done for me and Bud. But yeah, so I just wanted to share my journey, share this amazing book. I'm going to be talking more about self-love and romantic love and relationships and things that I'm learning, because I feel like what's put out there, especially for women of color, Black women, we have to be so strong. We've had to protect ourselves for so long that when it comes time to actually have a romantic relationship with the man that we pray for, I think sometimes we self-sabotage, or we don't show up in the way that we should, which then causes so much strife in a relationship that is unnecessary. Even if God called y'all to it, you still have free will. So your mouth can get you in trouble with the man of your dreams, the man that God sent to you, because you can't control your emotions or your mouth. And so being married and having done things wrong and learning, like actively learning, I definitely want to share with y'all things that I'm learning. And you take what you can, leave what doesn't apply, and I pray that it makes you better over time too. So I thank you guys for watching. I hope you like this series that I'm about to do. After this series though, I'm gonna do a I'm gonna keep doing like love videos and relationship videos and stuff, but I'm also about to do a series about getting a job in corporate. So like I said, I've been in corporate for the last 2 years. Latest job was $150,000. I have no college degree. It was a process. It was a learning curve. So I'm going to share what I learned about LinkedIn and resumes and all of that good stuff, and how you can land a really good job in corporate America. And then I'm also going to do a series about Etsy, because Etsy didn't give me a little coin. So I'm going to share some tips with that. So stay tuned. I love you guys, and I hope you enjoy your week. Bye.